Hi, it's Monday the 2nd of September 2024. I've just arrived back in Conwy and I'm going to continue my walk from Land's End to John O'Groats. So long story short, I arrived in Conwy a few weeks ago, but unfortunately the weather in the UK was pretty bad at the start of the year. So I decided to have a break for a few weeks and head over to France. But unfortunately, because it was summer, all the ferries were heavily booked up, and all the cabins were booked, and the hotels in France were booked up, and there was the Olympics in Paris as well. So I decided to stay home in August and treat myself to a new tent instead. So I've just bought a Lejog Solo, which I hope to be using for the rest of the walk. And I've been meaning to buy a Lejog Solo for ages. They're generally considered to be the best one-person hiking tent on the market. But I've always put off buying one because they're quite hefty tents. They weigh about 2.4 kilos, but I've already taken it out on a couple of test hikes, and yeah, the extra weight's not a problem, and it's a really nice tent. There's a lot of design features I like about it, and I bought it because it's a very storm-proof tent, and I think because it's probably going to be November by the time I get up to John O'Groats. From hiking across Scotland in autumn and winter, I'm definitely going to need quite a robust tent, and the Lejog Solo does have a reputation for being very storm-proof. So I'm just heading over the bridge now towards my hotel, and tomorrow morning I'm heading to Abergele. So this stage of the walk, I'm spending 4 days walking along the North Welsh coast back into England, where I'll be spending a night in Chester, and then from Chester I'll be spending a couple of days walking up to Warrington, and then from Warrington I'll be following the Trans-Pennine Trail to Glossop, and then it's straight onto the Pennine Way. And today it's just about a 13-mile walk. I'm heading up to Conwy Bay, and then I'll be following the coastal path to Abergele, where I'll be buying some food and water. And then there's a public access wood right next to Abergele, so I'll be camping there tonight. And there's the remains of an Iron Age hill fort there, so it'll be quite interesting to have a look at that. Just arrived at Conwy Bay. Quite a nice day today. Just going to have a little break here because I think I'm doing quite well for time. Just arrived at the seafront, so just going to have a quick cup of tea, then head into the town, stock up with food and water, and And then I'm going up on the woods just over there this afternoon. Just arrived at a very useful information board. So this is the site of Castelcar Iron Age Hill Fort. I'm not going to pronounce that again, I've probably pronounced it wrong, but in English it's the Giant's Castle. And on the board it says over 2,000 years ago Celtic people lived here, and they would have witnessed the invasion of the Romans, who established a trading post at Abergele. So I'm just going to go up to the top and see if I can get a nice view. Just arrived at the top, nice view overlooking the town and the coast, so that's where I'll be heading tomorrow. So now I'm just going to have a little break and then look for a nice quiet spot to put the tent up for tonight. Just to the southwest of the hill fort, just off the track that runs through the forest, there's a nice flat spot, very secluded, so I've put the tent up here for tonight. So just going to settle down now, listen to BBC Radio 4. There's no internet access up here, which is a pity. I thought there'd be quite a strong signal, but there's no signal, so I'm just listening to the radio tonight. So going to settle down and then tomorrow morning continue along the coast towards Chester. So until tomorrow morning, good night. I'm heading back down to the coast path, which I'll be following for a few more miles. Then I'm heading inland. I'm camping on in another large wood tonight on a hill. I can't remember what it was called. It's right on the Offa's path, as it happens. So you never know, I might meet people though who are walking the Offa's and camping there for the night. So it's about now a 30-mile walk today, so not too difficult. Thought I'd make the most of the low tide and do a bit of beach walking. I'm heading to, I think it's Kimmel Bay, and then that's when I start going inland, and then looking for the wood where I'll be staying tonight. Slight change of plan. I've noticed on my Komoot hiking app there's a campsite further up the coast, and I think I would prefer staying in a campsite tonight rather than wild camping. It's a bit more civilized, and because it's September, it's quiet season now, so it should be nice and quiet. So it's about 10 miles from Kimmel Bay, so I should get there this afternoon about 4 or 5 o'clock. It's a nice little walk along the coast. Just arrived at the campsite, so just settling down. Some really nice views of the sea from here. This is what I like about hiking in September. It's a really huge campsite this, but I don't think there's probably more than about half a dozen people here at the moment. So September's a great time to go hiking. Very nice quiet campsites. So now I'm just going to settle down. Got internet access here as well, so I can watch something on YouTube tonight, and then tomorrow I'm continuing along the coast to Flint, where I'll be staying in a hotel. So until tomorrow morning, good night. hopefully another dry day today, so I'm just going to head back down to the coast, then follow the coast path to Flint, where I'll be stopping for tonight. I'm just approaching a ship. It's called the Duke of Lancaster, and I don't think it's been abandoned, but I don't think it's any use for it these days, so it's just been left there. So it used to be a passenger ferry. It was built in Belfast in 1956, and she was designed to operate as a passenger ferry and also a cruise ship. And then in 1970 she was converted to a car ferry. Then she was finally laid up in 1978. Then in 1979 they decided to bring it down to here in North Wales and try and turn it into a floating leisure and retail complex, but that didn't really work, and so I think they just left it here until they can find a use for it. Unfortunately, the coastal path is being closed here because of erosion, so this is as close as I can get to the ship, unfortunately. So just going to head back onto the road to continue the walk. I've just arrived at the River Dee estuary, and just over there on the other side, that's the Wirral Peninsula. So I'm just about a couple of miles from Flint now, and getting quite close to the border with England, so the Welsh stage of my Lejog walk is nearly at an end. So I should be getting to Flint in just over an hour or so. Just arrived in Flint, so I'm just going to have a look at the old ruined castle here. So they started building this in 1277 and it was completed in 1284. This is what the castle used to look like. Just arrived in the centre of Flint, so this is where I'll be calling it a day for today, and then tomorrow morning I'll be continuing my walk to Chester. So until tomorrow morning, good night. So today's my last day in Wales. I'm heading towards Connor's Quay now, and when I get there, there's a path which follows the River Dee all the way into the centre of Chester. So quite an easy walk today. It's all on the flat today. So this is where the route connects up to the River Dee path, so I'll just be following that all the way into Chester centre. I can almost make out Chester from here now, so should be there pretty soon. Just arriving at the border with England. So this marks the start or the end of the Welsh coast path. So this is the start of my North England stage of the Lejog walk. Just arrived in the centre of Chester. I won't be spending much time in the town because I was here a couple of years ago and I made a YouTube video then, so I'm just sort of passing through now. I'm just going to have a look at the main streets this afternoon, but I definitely recommend visiting Chester. It's a very picturesque and historic city. Chester Cathedral. So Chester used to be a Roman town. Where I am now, these crossroads, this used to be the centre of the town. And there's a cross here called the Chester Cross. I think the original one dated back from the 14th century, but this one was replaced in the 15th century. So this would have been the centre of the Roman town of Chester. I'm just heading down to the East Gate. So when Chester was a walled city during the Roman era, this would have been the eastern entrance into the town. But this gate, this was built in the 18th century, and the clock was installed to commemorate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. And this is going down to Bridge Street. On the other side of the road there's a building called the Three Old Arches, and the shop frontage of that shop it's the oldest in England. Well, I'm starting to get sore feet now, so I think I'm going to call it a day and head up to the hotel. So tomorrow morning I'm starting to walk towards Warrington. It's a 2-day walk to Warrington. I'll be wild camping tomorrow night, so I hope it'll be as nice tomorrow as it has been today. So until tomorrow morning, good night. So this stage of the walk I'm spending 2 days heading up to Warrington, and then I'll be spending 3 days following the Trans-Pennine Trail to Glossop. So today I'm just heading up to it's a small town called Helsby, where I'm going to stock up with food and water. Then I'm hoping to camp very close to a Iron Age hill fort again. Just arrived in Helsby. There's a Tesco supermarket here with a cafe, so I'm just going to have a lunch break here. And then this afternoon I've got a bit of steep climbing because I'm going to visit 2 sites of Iron Age hill forts. So the first one is right next to Helsby, it's Helsby Hill, and from there I should be able to see where I'll be going this afternoon. I think it's Woodhouse Hill, and there's the site of an Iron Age hill fort there, and that's where I'm hoping to camp tonight. Just approaching the top of Helsby Hill. I didn't see any information boards about the Iron Age hill fort that used to be here, but I'm just going to go up and admire the view. So just over there to the north, that's the River Mersey with Liverpool on the other side. And I read that on a sunny day you can see Wales from here over in the west. Right, I'm going to continue to the next hill where I'll be looking for a camping spot. Just approaching Woodhouse Hill. It's a bit of a steep climb to get up there, but it's a nice big forest and it's quite flat on top, so I should find a nice camping spot tonight. Just arrived at the site of the old hill fort. I'm just going to have a look to see if there's a nice place to admire the view from up here. This is looking north towards the River Mersey again. Here's another viewpoint. Just going to have a little sit down now and then, because I've got plenty of time, and look for a nice secluded spot to put the tent up for tonight. Found a nice secluded spot in the forest, so I've got the tent up for tonight. There's still a few people wandering around through the forest, and I'm quite close to the main track that goes through actually. I'm only about 25-30 metres away. But it's a very secluded, well-hidden spot this, so I've just got the tent up now. I think it's going to rain quite a bit tomorrow morning, but tomorrow morning it's a very easy walk. I'm just walking about 12 miles into Warrington and I'm staying in a hotel, so it's not a big deal. So just going to settle down as normal and then tomorrow morning I'll be heading towards the Trans-Pennine Trail. So until tomorrow morning, good night. Today's route, I'm just heading down to Frodsham, then I'm going to head towards I think it's the Bridgewater Canal, but there's a canal walk that goes towards Warrington. I think the weather forecast today is there's a lot of heavy rain coming in, but that'll give me a good chance to try out my poncho. This area is very much a sandstone area, and this footpath I'm on at the moment, quite naturally it's known as the Sandstone Trail. A bit misty this morning, but I bet you can get some nice views up here when it's a sunny day. Just arrived in Frodsham. There's a cafe and a Costa Coffee here which are open on a Sunday, so I just popped in for a ham and cheese toastie and a cup of tea. So that's filled me up for the morning. I'm just heading through the town now. I'll be going on to the canal path. Bit of a boring road walk from Frodsham to the canal that I've got here. So I'm just going to follow the canal for a few miles now. Oh yes, these ponchos seem ideal for the British weather. I'm still wearing my waterproof jacket underneath, but if it was warm I could just wear the poncho, because it's much more ventilated than a normal waterproof jacket. A lot more air gets inside, so you don't get the moisture build up like you do with waterproof jackets. So I'll definitely be taking this all the way up to Donegrouts. I've just arrived at the Manchester Ship Canal, and this is where I pick up the Trans-Pennine Trail. So I'll be spending, I think it's 3 days walking to Glossop. But I'll be stopping here tonight. There's a hotel close by where I'll be staying. And I think this is a good place to stop this video now. I think I've got about 30 minutes of footage. So I'm going to upload this tonight, and then I'll start my next video tomorrow. I'll be walking to Altrincham. So thank you very much for watching my video, and I hope to upload another one soon. Bye!